The moment Crown Prince Yanyuan arrived at our door, holding the imperial decree of marriage, my stepmother dragged me to one side.
Look at you, a mere peasant girl. If you dare step foot into that palace, they will devour you, bones and all. But I retorted, that's perfect. Once I'm in the palace, no one will ever dare bully me again. I'm marrying him. Hearing this, my stepmother froze instantly, her eyes wide with utter shock. I quickly brushed past her, stepped out of the room, and tightly hugged the chest of treasures Yan Jingxuan had brought.
Your Highness,
I am willing to go to the palace with you. My stepmother rushed out after me in a panic and snatched the chest right out of my hands.
Mushanshua, what on earth are you babbling about?
With your lowly, filthy background.
How could you ever deserve His Highness? You're not even worthy of sweeping the floor for us, Susu.
She was far more refined and well-mannered than you'll ever be.
Mu Susu giggled softly, stepping forward to bow shyly to Yao Jingxuan.
Your Highness,
I am more than willing to marry you in place of my sister.
you...
Xiao Jinswan's brow furrowed.
His gaze instantly filled with utter disgust. But my stepmother completely missed his disdain.
Your Highness,
That wretched girl, Shuashu, has been cheap and rotten since she was a child. She's always stealing and lying. Think, if she is allowed to raise the little prince in the future, she will surely corrupt him and ruin his life. But our Susu is completely different. Her father sent her to school when she was just a little girl. She is masterfully skilled in music, chess, poetry, painting, and the classic scriptures. If your Highness does not mind, once Mu Shuangshi gives birth to the little prince, why not let Susu raise him instead? Listening to my stepmother's shameless schemes, I dug my fingernails deep into my palms. Ever since my mother passed away, and she married my father, I became nothing but an outsider in this house. Even my father, who used to dote on me, now looks at me like I am a poisonous viper. That beggar down the street used to be a wealthy young master. My stepmother had greedily coveted his family's power and eagerly arranged a marriage contract between him and Mususu. But now that his family has fallen from grace, leaving him ruined, my stepmother and father didn't hesitate for a second. They just pushed me right over to him. I've always been the one who could be thrown away like trash at any second. Back at the Mu house, if I didn't listen to my stepmother, my father would drag me out into the street and beat me. Once, when I dared, he almost dragged me to a brothel to sell me off. It's not like I never tried to fight back, but I was no match for Mosusu. I had already resigned myself to becoming nothing more than a breeding tool. But looking at Yao Jingxuan's cold, unreadable face, my palms still broke out in a nervous sweat. Suddenly, he looked right at me. A faint, subtle smile played on his lips, as if he's worthy. Xiao Jingxuan then brought me onto the carriage, heading back to the palace. And before we left, he even had his men take back that chest of treasures. The man didn't say another word. Silence followed us all the way to the Crown Prince's palace. But Ye Jingxuan didn't stay for long. He left almost immediately, using official business as an excuse. The maids in the palace kept stealing glances at me. This is the first time His Highness has ever brought a woman back. Who on earth is this Mu Shuangshi? I heard she's already pregnant with his little heir. We have to be extremely careful serving her. This finally slaps those gossipers in the face. Let's see if they dare spread rumors about His Highness being into men anymore. Life in the Crown Prince's palace is far more comfortable than back at the Mu family.
小竞选，我是很快的鼻子。
He returned very late every single day. Even though I've been here for over 10 days, we've barely spoken more than a few words. Suddenly, a guard walked in. Ms. Mu, Her Majesty the Empress requests your presence. I swallowed hard, and nervously clenched my fists. The moment I stepped in the Kunming Palace, the Empress tried to assert her dominance right away. She handed me a hairpin and told me to gift it to whichever consort caught my eye. But this wasn't just about giving away a hairpin. This was a clear demand for me to choose a side. I took a deep breath, and under the watchful eyes of everyone in the room, I took a step forward and walked straight toward the Empress. To answer your Majesty, if you ask me who my absolute favorite person in this room is, it would without a doubt be you. You are the Empress, the mother of our nation, and the most respectable woman in the entire world. Rise, the Empress said, a sharp gleam flashing in her eyes. She chuckled softly as she took the hairpin from my hands. Her satisfaction was plain to see. She turned to her attendant. Eunuchly, Take the Ling Yuan silk the emperor gifted yesterday and deliver it to the crown prince's palace.
The empress even insisted I stay for lunch. She was incredibly warm, laughing and chatting with me like an old friend.
She even showed genuine concern about everything I had been through.
When she learned how I ended up running into Xiao Jingxuan after he had been drugged, her heart ached for us. And she kept piling food onto my plate.
My dear child, eat up, she said softly.
With me and Jingxuan by your side from now on.
We will never let you suffer another shred of injustice.
Just as she wiped away a tear,
The sharp snap of a breaking twig echoed from behind us. The empress spun around sharply. Who's there? Caught red-handed, the intruder didn't even bother to hide. Dressed in solid black, Yao Jinswan stepped slowly out from behind the trees. It is me, he said.
Your Highness, I murmured.
Kirin Zhouan, what are you doing here? The empress asked.
Zhao Zhiyuan cleared his throat softly.
Looking a bit embarrassed at being caught eavesdropping.
I just came to visit you, mother. Then he turned to me. How are you and mother getting along?
His sudden question caught me off guard. I quickly rose and bowed. To enter your Highness, Empress.
But before I could finish,
The empress interrupted me. With a warm smile,
Oh, Shuer, why are you still calling me the empress?
Just call me mother. Besides, you and Jingxuan are already husband and wife.
Don't be so formal by calling him your highness.
I didn't dare respond to that. It wasn't until Ya Yimswan nonchalantly sat down beside me.
Just do as mother says, he murmured.
since he actually had some free time today.
He stayed and chatted with us, much longer than usual. There is a gathering for the princes tonight, the empress noted.
Jingxuan, you should go.
And take share with you.
That way, those gossip mongers won't dare spread rumors behind your back. As we prepared to leave,
The empress gave us one final, firm reminder. Sai Jingxuan hesitated for a brief moment before nodding.
your son understands, he replied.
The moment I got back, I had my maid dress me up. I've been in the crown prince's palace for so long, but I've never really put any effort into my appearance.
刷谢学还床。
What are you doing? My hand paused midair as I was fixing my hair.
No matter what anyone says,
I'm still the mother of your child now.
everyone else in the palace keeps calling me a cheap peasant girl from the gutters. I don't really care about myself.
But I can't let you and our baby lose face because of me.
Anything that brings shame to the royal family is something I would never dare to do.
小姐真网，我下任何了 moment。
Before finally pulling out an exquisite hairpin. It was the same one the empress had used to test me earlier. There are still matters at court, he said. I'll have my guards come and pick you up later. But although he said he'd send guards,
When night fell, he came to fetch me in person.
if anyone tries to make things difficult for you, just stay quiet and don't say a word.
I'll handle the rest.
I nodded. Ever since he walked in, his eyes seemed glued to me, never leaving me for a single second. His gaze was so intense it made my throat go dry. Kingswan's warning was certainly not for nothing. The moment I sat down, the first prince immediately began to mock us.
I heard you did my royal brother a huge favor,
Not only resolving his urgent crisis,
but also helping him debunk the rumors of his impotence.
you truly are a savior. When he said those last two words,
He deliberately raised his voice.
Miss Mo, right now, you're the only one who knows if those rumors are actually true. I instinctively looked at Yao Jingwan.
His expression was incredibly dark.
I let out a soft laugh.
First Prince, that question is highly offensive. If Ashuan were truly like the rumors say,
How could I possibly be carrying his child? Besides, it is my absolute honor to be of help to Ashuan.
Ashuan is the future ruler.
We, as his subjects, should naturally support him with all our hearts.
Instead of sitting here making blind speculations and gossiping.
Wouldn't you agree, First Prince? Before he could even swallow the wine he had just sipped, he spat it right back out.
Jingxuan, look at this little concubine of yours. She has absolutely no respect for your imperial brother.
No Shumsher is intentionally driving a wedge between the princes.
Guards, drag her out.
Give her 20 slaps. In an instant, several guards rushed in. Xiao Xuanzuan slammed his wine cup down. Let's see who dares.
Drawing the sword from his waist.
He lunged at the first prince without another word. In a split second, a bloody gash was sliced across the first prince's neck. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal. My Ashe is the most reasonable person.
If there is someone she doesn't respect, it only proves they aren't even fit to be called human. Furthermore, Mu Shuangxi will be my lawfully wedded crown princess.
If anyone dares to call her a concubine, again, I will personally cut out their tongue. Instantly, everyone in the room fell to their knees in sheer terror. Ignoring his bleeding wound, the first prince
Scrambled and crawled his way out the door.
leaving a trail of blood behind him. But quickly got up. Reaching into my pocket, I wanted to use a handkerchief to wipe away the blood splattered on Xiao Jingshuan, but my handkerchief was gone. I must have forgotten to bring it in my rush earlier. Things having come to this,
Xiao Jingshuan also lost all interest in drinking wine or tea.
he immediately took me and left. In the carriage, he was uncharacteristically avoiding my gaze. Did I scare you? I squeezed my fingers nervously. Your Highness protected me. I couldn't be more grateful. He also seemed a bit self-conscious. What I said just now, with entirely the truth. What? Before I could catch up with this train of thought, the carriage suddenly screeched to a halt. The coachman's padded voice rang out. Miss Shen, are you all right? Miss Shen. Shenzhou. The Empress had mentioned her to me earlier today, saying she had protected Jiao Yoshuan back then, and was stabbed in the eyes by kidnappers. She is still blind to this day. As I went to lift the carriage curtain, I froze. A voice came from outside. A soft, delicate voice. Is this His Highness, the Crown Prince's carriage? Her voice instantly cracked with tears. I was out on an outing with my sisters, but because of my terrible eyesight, I got separated from them. Your Highness, could you please take me home?
Xiao Jingshuan was silent for a moment.
In the end, he allowed her to get into the carriage. Once we returned to the Crown Prince's palace, she actually took the initiative to pour tea for me. I heard you were the one who saved His Highness that day. Before I could even reply, her eyes instantly filled with intense jealousy. Why? I've been chasing His Highness for over 10 years. Why does a nobody like you get to have him so easily? I was a bit shocked by her sudden change in attitude. A lowly maid. How dare you think you can compare to me? As she spoke, she threw the scalding hot tea right at me. Fortunately, after being punished so many times in the past, my reflexes were incredibly sharp. Not only did she miss completely, but every single drop of the hot tea splashed right back onto her. She instantly shrieked in pain. Catching sight of a familiar figure in the distance, my eyes darted, and I made a quick decision. I immediately threw myself onto the ground. Miss Shen, I know you are jealous of the favor His Highness shows me, but I belong to His Highness now. By scalding me with hot tea, aren't you afraid he will blame you? Having her lines stolen so suddenly, Shen Zhao was completely stunned.
小将今晚惹事无妨，贺龙。
He quickly pulled me up from the ground.
Shen Zhao, what do you think you're doing?
Instantly channeling my inner drama queen, I threw myself into his arms and sobbed. Your Highness, Miss Shen is so jealous that we share a bed. She actually threw boiling hot tea at me. Shinzhou panics. Your Highness, don't listen to her lies. She clearly... Enough. Xiao Jingshuan's face darkened with fury. Shenzhou, I'll have someone escort you back to your estate. Now get the hell out. You're throwing me out. Because of him? Your Highness, don't let him fool you. Shenzhou's face was filled with sheer disbelief. Who's to say the person from that night was even Mu Shuangwei? Besides, Your Highness, you still haven't found the culprit who drugged you that night. Who knows if this shameless wretch staged the whole thing just to climb his way up? The more he spoke, the more my heart raced with anxiety. Because of those eyes?
小姐撒，还好为师脚及底，仇深招。
And guilt is the most complicated emotion in the world. I can't let my little one suffer with me. Tears streaming down my face, I pleaded. Your Highness, what happened that night was truly just a coincidence. Even if you don't believe me, I believe you. I thought I had misheard him. I looked up in utter shock, which only infuriated Shenzhou even more. Xia Yuso opened his mouth to speak, but hesitated. I believe you. But Your Highness, he's still going to ruin you. I have proof of his treasonous lies. As soon as he finished speaking, a filthy, disheveled beggar was dragged into the room. It was actually the very beggar who was betrothed to Mususu. But what did any of this have to do with him? Just as I was reeling in confusion, the man suddenly raised his head. The moment his eyes landed on me, he pointed a trembling finger and began shouting his accusations. It's him. It's really him.
Mo Shashware, you shameless, indecent wretch.
After spending a night of passion with me, you saw the Crown Prince approaching. You saw.
And kicked me out like trash.
You'll stop at nothing to climb the social ladder and get your hands on wealth and power. How could you do this to our child?
My brow furrowed deeper and deeper as I listened to his lies. What utter nonsense are you spewing?
I've never even seen you before. That morning, when I opened the door, I only saw Shai Jingswan sitting on the ground with his clothes in complete disarray.
There was absolutely no sign of any beggar. Suddenly, the beggar pulled a blood-stained handkerchief from his clothes.
Taking a closer look, my chest tightened. It was the very handkerchief I had lost. My heart began to hammer wildly against my ribs.
The beggar sneered coldly.
Your Highness, see for yourself.
This is the proof left behind after Mu Shuangshu and I spent that night together.
Stained handkerchief is right here.
The child in Mu Shuangwei's womb is absolutely not of royal blood.
The purity of the royal bloodline is of the utmost importance. Within moments, the emperor and empress rushed over. Meanwhile, Shen Zhao had a smug look of absolute victory on her face.
Wu Shuaxie, I've seen plenty of women like you who try to climb the social ladder using such dirty tricks.
Wake up and face reality. His Highness would never fall for someone as shameless as you. The empress rushed over to Shan Jinswan. Sran, what on earth is going on here?
But from beginning to end,
Xiao Jinswan's face remained completely expressionless. Afraid they wouldn't believe her, Shen Zhao kept screaming. Your Majesty, your Empress, I'm absolutely certain the child in Mu Shangshui's womb is definitely not the crown princess. Deceiving the emperor is a capital offense. Hurry up and beat this wretched woman and her unborn child to death. Wait. Fine beads of sweat broke out on my forehead. Miss Shen claims this is my virginity blood. But where is the proof? Shen Zhao's expression froze for a second, but she quickly recovered. Of course. If you don't believe me, we can have the imperial physician examine it. Oh no. Someone summon the imperial physician. The bloodline of our Showa royal family must never be defiled.
Before she could even finish, the emperor waved his hand dismissively. I bit my lip nervously.
But no one dared to defy the emperor's command. Soon the imperial physician arrived.
Xia Yuzhuan personally handed the handkerchief over.
What blood is this?
The empress anxiously leaned in closer, a mix of complex emotions flashing in her eyes as she looked at me.
The hall fell into a terrifying silence. Suddenly, the imperial physician stood up. He glanced at me, then quickly lowered his head. Your Majesty, this is indeed a woman's virginity blood. You're lying. Out of worry for the little one in my womb, my heart was racing, my emotions spiraling completely out of control. I fought with everything I had to suppress my panic and calm down. Even if this is indeed blood from the wedding night, how can Miss Shen be so sure that it belongs to me?
Shen Zhao sneered. And can you prove that it isn't?
Your Highness, Mu Shuangshe has committed the grave crime of deceiving the crown. Not to mention, she has utterly disgraced the honor of the royal family. Beating her to death would be far too merciful. I collapsed to my knees with a heavy thud, weakly trying to explain. Your Highness, please, it wasn't me. Enough, he suddenly roared. The sheer fury in his voice made me shudder violently. I stared at his face, trying to read him, but other than pure rage, I couldn't see any other emotion.
Shan Zhao's smug, gloating voice kept ringing in my ears.
Mu Shuangshe, you were never destined to be the crown princess. To risk your very life just for wealth and status. I truly admire your audacity. I closed my eyes, waiting for my grim end with a bitter, unwilling heart. I gently caressed my stomach. My baby, I am so sorry. Your mother is so useless. I couldn't protect you. Think. Guards! Throw Shen Zhao out of here!
小金蝉参桌儿的尾戏得大了好。
My eyes snapped open. I wondered if my ears were playing tricks on me. But the utter terror and confusion written all over Shen Zhao's face told me it was the absolute truth. The Empress gently and pityingly helped me to my feet. Xiao Jingtran kicked the imperial physician, sending him sprawling across the floor. Dr. Zhao, you have some nerve. Conspiring with the Shen family to deceive me. The crime of deceiving the crown. Do you honestly think your miserable head can pay for this? I stared in utter daze, my mind completely blank. At that moment, the Empress guided me to a chair to sit down. She spoke softly, explaining in a patient, gentle voice. Cher learned a bit of medicine from me when she was young. Hey. So she can easily recognize fingertip blood. My heart pounded wildly in my chest. Little one, I protected you. Ultimately, the corrupt physician was dragged out and beaten to death. Meanwhile, Shen Zhao was still collapsed on the floor,
trembling violently from head to toe.
She frantically tried to explain herself.
Yeah, Your Highness.
I had no idea that man was deceiving me. If your highness were to be scorned by the world because of this,
Even if Mu Shangshui had 10 lives, she could never pay that back.
I only did this to ensure the purity of the royal bloodline.
I am innocent, Your Majesty.
Innocent. Yao Jingxuan scoffed.
He drew his sword, pressing the blade right against her neck. The sword didn't actually touch Chen Zhao,
But she was so terrified that she stumbled backward in panic.
actually, your eyes were covered a long time ago, didn't they?
Shen Zhao's face froze, and she quickly denied it. Your Highness, you must be joking.
Years ago, the imperial physician already said
That my eyes.
Stop acting!
Xia Zhenzuan threw the sword down right next to her arm.
Terrified, she instantly shrank away to the side.
And that single movement completely exposed her.
If I hadn't kept your Shen family around because you're still useful, do you really think that with your pathetic acting, you would have had the chance to fool me for this long?
Shen Zhao didn't dare say a single word. She suddenly crawled to Xiao Jixuan's feet,
Grabbing his leg and crying out in despair. Your Highness, everything I did, it was all for you. If I hadn't pretended to be blind all these years,
How could I have ever stayed by your side for so long, Your Highness?
you are the crown prince of the nation.
How could there not be a woman by your side?
I was just worried the other princes would gossip about you. More than that, if I hadn't saved you back then, my eyes wouldn't have.
Back then, you only brought it upon yourself.
But this time, Yao Jingxuan didn't let her bring up those old stories.
The emperor, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke up.
The kidnappers had clearly let you go. My son was unconscious. But when you saw the royal guards arriving,
Knowing you would definitely be rescued.
you realized that once you were free, you would lose your chance to cling to my son. So, you simply grabbed the kidnapper's blade,
Blinded your own eyes.
Then Zhao, am I not right?
No, that's not how it was.
Your Majesty, please listen to me. That's not.
She became extremely hysterical. In mid-sentence, she suddenly fainted. Take her back. Then,
Send her back to the Shen family and announce her crimes to everyone in her household.
once he wakes up,
I'll decide how to deal with him.
the empress disgustedly ordered the guards. After Shen Zhao was dragged away, Empress gently stroked my belly with a look of guilt. My dear Sheer, you must have been so frightened just now. Tell me, what would you like to eat? Mother will personally cook it for you. Mother, The Empress's warm voice slowly calmed my racing heart. But before I could even answer, a sharp, agonizing pain shot through my stomach. The pain was so intense I couldn't even speak.
Clutching my belly, I collapsed to the floor.
My vision began to blur and fade into darkness.
Just before completely blacking out,
I saw panic written all over Yao Jingwen's face.
as he desperately called out my name. Shit. The moment I opened my eyes, I saw Xiao Jingxuan staring right at me. He looked incredibly exhausted, with dark circles shadowing his eyes. My head was still throbbing and heavy. Your Highness. I instinctively reached for my belly. Thank goodness the little one was still there.
I tried to prop myself up to sit.
不只要君我千里好你当。
The imperial physician said you need complete bed rest. You must stay in the estate and rest for the next few days. Oh.
Sir, you're awake.
Even from a distance, the pure joy in the Empress's voice was unmistakable. But for some reason, she stopped halfway and suddenly turned back. A moment later, she returned carrying a bowl of medicine to prevent miscarriage and sat down by my bed. Don't you worry, Sheer. Jingxuan has already taken leave from his imperial father. He will be staying in the estate to take good care of you over the next few days. If anything like what happened 2 days ago ever happens again, I will personally break his legs for you. If he can't even protect his own wife, what right does he have to be the crown prince? I looked at Shai Zhengxuan, feeling a bit uneasy. He didn't seem bothered at all, as if he had silently accepted my identity.
But the Empress only grew angrier the more she spoke.
She immediately began lecturing. Yeah, it's right.
From now on, you must stay by Seer's side, never leaving her for a single second.
She is pregnant right now.
And her body is already so weak. If she hadn't taken that fall a few days ago, because of that Shen Zhao, how would she have ended up unconscious for days?
Though Xiaochuan didn't say a word.
I could actually see the regret written all over his face. Hearing that I had finally woken up, the Emperor also sent over precious tonics, along with an imperial decree. It stated that once my pregnancy stabilized and my health improved, he would hold a grand wedding for us.
Empress smiled warmly. Wonderful. The grand ceremony for your investiture as crown princess must be absolutely magnificent. And don't forget what I said. You must stay by her side, never leaving her for a single second.
The Empress didn't forget to remind Xiao Jingxuan before she finally left.
And Xiao Jingxuan indeed did just that.
Except when we were sleeping at night.
We would barely leave my side by more than 2 meters.
Just like that, it felt like Xiao Jingxuan and I were glued to each other every single day. Just who on earth is this crown princess?
To make the crown prince so utterly obsessed with her, even the servants began to tease us. My face flushed hot with embarrassment.
Especially since Xiaxuan was standing right behind me.
Just as I cleared my throat twice to warn those maids,
Xiao Jingxuan's personal guard rushed in.
he stole a quick glance at me, looking somewhat anxious, thinking, "Your Highness, the Shen family is making a scene outside." I had already been hearing the shouting from outside the hall.
Your Highness, let us go out and have a look.
Xiao Jingxuan hesitated.
Has your Highness forgotten? Empress Mother did order the two of us to stay glued to each other's side.
I smiled playfully. I could say that I could not have to declare the visual. I don't know if it was just my imagination, but after I said that, his ears actually turned a bit red.
Even the guard was holding back a laugh, clearly enjoying the spectacle.
Did I say something wrong?
But the shouting outside leaves me no time to think.
The moment I step outside,
Shen Guo and a mob are pointing right at me, screaming accusations at the crown prince. Because of Miss Smew,
My daughter still hasn't woken up!
you must give me justice!
Over the last 2 days, Shen Guo realized his daughter's scheme was exposed.
He knew he wouldn't get any mercy from Yao Jingxuan, so he scrabbled to align himself with the first prince.
that crowd surrounding him, they're all the first prince's men.
No matter what trouble he stirs up,
The first prince has his back. That is why he dares to scream in my face and defy Yao Jingxuan. But I clearly remember that day. The first prince was so terrified by Xiao Jingxuan that he ran away on his hands and knees.
how does he still have the guts to openly oppose him now?
Xiao Jingxuan's eyes turned ice cold.
Tell me,
Is your daughter faking her coma because she knows pretending to be blind is a treasonous crime, and she is too terrified to wake up? Realizing this tactic is failing,
Shen Guo immediately switches strategies.
everyone knows Miss Mu comes from a common, ordinary family. What benefit could a woman like her possibly bring to the crown prince as his crown princess?
Besides, a dirt poor girl rising to become a phoenix just by using her looks?
The people of this empire will never accept her.
Your Highness, please do not lose the trust of your people.
Whom I choose to marry. Does it require Lord Shen's permission?
Xiao Jingxuan sneers.
Or perhaps you still delusionally hope to marry your deceitful, lying daughter into my palace?
Shen Guo.
Have you grown tired of living? The moment those words leave Ya Yashuan's mouth, the ministers who were just clamoring behind Chen Guo instantly shut their mouths in terror. The emperor has not even settled the score regarding your daughter's crimes. Yet, you still dare to walk the streets so brazenly? Do you truly think the laws of this land are a joke?
The second his voice falls,
Several royal guards seize Shen Guo and bind him in chains.
Just those few words scare Xuan so badly that he wets his pants, stuttering in sheer terror. You can't kill me.
you can't kill me. I belong to the first prince. If you kill me, the first prince will make you pay.
Ignoring him completely, Sai Jingxuan takes my hand and pulls me back inside. It wasn't until everything quieted down outside that he finally let go of me, his ears flushing red. Regarding what father said the other day,
What do you think?
I lowered my head, keeping my eyes down.
I will defer to whatever your Highness decides.
A joyful smile had just begun to grace Ya Jingxuan's lips.
When a guard suddenly came rushing back in.
Your Highness! Perhaps realizing he had just ruined the prince's mood, he scratched his head in embarrassment.
The crown princess's stepmother is making a scene outside the city gates.
Dismissed.
His expression didn't just look displeased, it was absolutely furious. Yet, when it came to anything concerning me,
He would always handle it with endless patience.
the moment we stepped off the carriage,
I saw my stepmother and Musuzu huddling among a crowd of beggars, gossiping while fighting them for scraps of food.
That mother of Mushang shares.
She came straight out of a brothel.
Who knows how many men she slept with?
So that girl, Mo Shuangshao.
Might not even carry the Mu family name.
I clenched my fists, about to charge at them.
But Ya Xiangshuan held me back.
Don't let yourself get worked up.
Only then did I remember the little one growing inside my belly. Suppressing my rage, I slowly unclenched my fists, spreading malicious rumors about the crown princess. I suppose you all have a death wish.
Scene who had arrived.
The beggars quickly bowed and scattered in a panic, leaving only my stepmother and Mususu standing frozen in place.
At the sight of Xia Junzwan,
My stepmother immediately put on her usual fawning face.
Your Highness, look. After all, I am still Xiang Shui's stepmother.
without me, she would never have survived to grow up this big.
Could you perhaps find a way to let us have some food from the palace? She actually still harbored delusions of entering the palace.
Seeing that he completely ignored her, she began to panic.
With a heavy thud, she dropped to her knees and began begging me. Shuashu, please, have some mercy on us.
We haven't had a proper meal in so long. If you can just find a way to get your sister into the palace,
I'll do whatever you want. But I didn't even want to look at her. I take a few steps back in utter disgust.
this completely enrages her.
Mushuangshe, what is the meaning of this?
Just because you climbed your way to the top and became a phoenix,
You suddenly forget the mother who raised you? An ungrateful wretch like you doesn't deserve to be the crown princess. If you ask me, with that filthy, low-born body of yours,
You should have been sold off to a brothel, just like your pathetic mother.
how dare you?
With one swift kick, Yao Jinswan sends her sprawling to the ground. I spared you before only because you were Axu's stepmother.
and I gave you a chance to survive.
But now, it seems there is absolutely no need for that. For insulting the crown princess. As you command,
Throw her into the dungeon.
he commands the guards behind him. My stepmother collapses to her knees on the ground in sheer despair. As we turn to leave, she suddenly lunges forward and tackles me violently to the ground.
As Sai Jingwen screams my name, the ground beneath me slowly stains red with blood.
My baby.
When I finally wake up,
Zhao Jingswan is looking down at me, his face filled with deep worry. I ignore the excruciating pain in my body. Your Highness, my baby.
what about my baby?
I touch my belly, and tears stream down my face uncontrollably. In my state of absolute grief,
I collapse against Xiao Jingswan's chest and sob hysterically.
suddenly, a tremor runs through me.
I hurriedly look down at my stomach.
The little one is actually stretching inside my belly.
Imperial physician said your pregnancy is unstable, so you must be extremely careful from now on. Just then,
假今晚见的台马吧，懂我也。
our baby is still safe. Hearing his comforting words,
Fresh tears stream down my face.
if it weren't for the little one inside me,
How could I have ever found such peace?
Just surviving would have been a struggle. Knowing that my baby is safe, my heart swells with the blissful relief of a survivor.
萧敬出言阵地抽出好神。
Empress Mother had some soup brewed for you.
It's to help stabilize your pregnancy.
If you have an appetite later,
Try to drink some. I wiped away my tears.
and nodded.
It took a long time before I finally managed to whisper.
Thank you, Your Highness.
What Her Majesty said that day
Shai Jinswan frowned slightly.
Is exactly what was in my heart. I didn't register it in the moment, but once it clicked.
a sudden warmth rushed to my face.
Because my pregnancy was unstable. Throughout those 10 months,
Both the Empress and Jingswan worried constantly. But thankfully, I safely gave birth to our little one.
it wasn't until after my postpartum recovery that we finally held the official investiture ceremony, just as I expected. The baby was a beautiful baby girl.
Once the ceremony ended, inside the crown prince's bedchamber,
Jingshan slowly walked over to me,
he gently lifted my red bridal veil.
thankfully whispering my name over and over. Shran had just had quite a lot to drink with the ministers, and his face was flushed, though I couldn't tell if it was from the alcohol or sheer shyness. Suddenly, he leaned down and pulled me into his arms. She. I must have been blessed across 3 lifetimes to have met you in this one. Zhujuan, meeting you was the true salvation of my life. If it weren't for him, I would probably have been forced to marry that beggar by now. If it weren't for him,
I would have spent my entire life trapped in the shadow of the Mu family.
We held each other tightly.
Jingazan had already named our daughter Xiao Soi. Xiao Mukshu. A love that weathers a lifetime of winter snow. Tears welled up in my eyes. Tears of pure gratitude. My sweet little Shure.
It was you who helped your mother break free from her weakness.
You gave me the courage to stand tall and live, and you led me to the man I can trust with my entire life. Every single bit of this happiness is all because of my sweet, clever little Xiu. No matter what happens, your mother will protect you with her life.
Life after our wedding has been much quieter than I ever imagined.
Xiao Jingxuan is out from dawn till dusk, buried in royal court affairs.
While I stay in the crown prince's palace, peacefully raising Ya Xu. The little guy is growing so fast. At just 2 months old, he's already babbling and making cute little noises.
Every time Xiao Jingxuan comes back, the first thing he does is pick him up. Was Yashi good today? He asks, lifting Yasu into the air.
A rare, tender smile spreads across his face. The little one waves his tiny fists, giggling happily. Ever since I gave birth to the baby, my relationship with Ya Jingxuan has indeed become much closer. When I wake up from a nightmare in the middle of the night, he'll gently pat my back to soothe me to sleep, tuck me in before heading out in the morning, and suddenly look up to steal a glance at me while reviewing official memorials, before casually lowering his head to continue writing as if nothing happened.
He does all of this so naturally, as if we've been husband and wife for years.
But every time I try to say something, he immediately slips back into that cold, distant shell of his.
One afternoon, the Empress sent a messenger,
saying she wanted to see Xiao Su. Accompanied by my maid, I headed to Cunning Palace holding the baby.
Just as I reached the palace gates, I heard a familiar voice from inside.
Your Majesty,
please, you have to help me.
I swear I won't do anything to hurt the crown princess and her baby. It was Shen Zhao.
My footsteps froze.
After a moment of hesitation, I walked inside anyway. The Empress was sitting on the main throne, looking rather displeased.
Shen Zhao was kneeling on the floor,
her eyes red and swollen,
looking as though she had just been crying. When the Empress saw me, her expression softened slightly. Ah, Xiu. Come sit. Holding the baby, I bowed to pay my respects.
Greetings, Mother.
Get up, quickly, the Empress urged, waving her hand.
Let me see my precious grandchild. The Empress took the little one into her arms, and the baby behaved perfectly, without a single fuss or cry.
When Shen Zhao saw me, a flash of jealousy shot through her eyes,
which she quickly masked it. The sentence,
Your Highness, what happened before?
It was all my fault.
I am here to beg for your forgiveness, she says.
Then she actually drops to her knees and kowtows 3 times.
I'm caught a little off guard. You're being too formal, Miss Shen,
I say flatly. Let's just leave the past in the past.
Does this mean Your Highness has forgiven me? Shen Zhao looks up, her eyes lighting up with hope. I don't answer, and simply walk over to sit next to the Empress.
The Empress looks at me,
then shifts her gaze to Shen Zhao. She lets out a soft sigh.
Shi Zhao, I am only giving you this chance.
Out of respect for your father's years of loyal service to our country, if you dare to harbor any wicked thoughts again, don't expect me to show you any mercy. I wouldn't dare, Your Majesty. I promise to turn over a new leaf.
Shen Zhao kowtows repeatedly, desperate to prove herself.
As we leave Cunning Palace,
Shen Zhao follows closely behind me.
Your Highness,
may I hold the little princess for a moment? I stare at her warily.
Instinctively, I hold Xiaoxu closer and say, Little Xiaoxu is shy around strangers. A flash of awkwardness crosses Shen Zhao's face, but she quickly forces a smile and says, Then, some other day, I'll come visit the little princess another time. As I watch her walk away, a faint sense of unease settles in my chest. Back at the Crown Prince's palace, he's sitting in the study, a stack of official reports piled up in front of him, with his brow furrowed deep in thought. Ixuan, I call out softly. He looks up, and seeing it's me, his frown melts away. How did it go with Mother? It went well. Mother really adores little Saixiu. I walk over to his side. After a brief hesitation,
Xuan, are you investigating the Shen family?
Jingxuan's eyes narrowed. Who told you that? I just guessed. Shen Zhao came to Cunning Palace today. He wanted me to plead for him. Jixuan let out a cold sneer. He certainly knows who to turn to. Is something really wrong with the Shen family? Jixuan fell silent for a moment. Then, he pulled me down to sit beside him. Over the years, Shen Guo has abused his power, embezzling a massive amount of disaster relief funds and grain. But what's even worse is that he's been secretly colluding with the first prince. They are plotting treason. My heart skipped a beat. Then, how are you going to deal with them? According to the law, they deserve execution.
But the time isn't right just yet.
We haven't fully exposed the first prince's involvement. We can't afford to alert them early.
Inigon's tone was calm,
but it carried an unquestionable, absolute resolve. I nodded silently.
I didn't understand the complex politics of the imperial court, but I trusted Jingxuan with all my heart. Suddenly, Jingxuan took my hand in his.
My love, no matter what happens,
I will always protect you and our child. I looked up into his eyes. I believe you.
his eyes were filled with absolute sincerity.
The days slipped by, one after another.
Soon, Yao Xiao was already 6 months old.
She was as beautiful and delicate as a little doll, with a pair of big, bright eyes that were the spitting image of Jingxuan. But when she smiled, the curve of her lips looked just like mine. Every time I took her out, the ladies of the imperial court couldn't help but shower her with praise. The crown princess is truly blessed. The little princess is just so adorable, isn't she? Though,
I've never seen such a beautiful baby in my entire life.
then, one night,
Just as I had finished lulling Yao Yao to sleep and was preparing to turn in,
Jingxuan suddenly pushed the door open and walked in.
the look on his face was incredibly grim.
What's wrong, Xuan?
The first prince impeached me in court today.
he accused me of forming a faction and plotting a rebellion. The street. He certainly knows how to play the victim first.
My heart clenched. So, what did father say?
Father didn't take a stand.
But he didn't dismiss it on the spot, either.
要基本赛上 the edge of the bed.
He rubbed his temples.
The first prince has been making a lot of moves lately.
I'm afraid he's about to make his move.
I held his hand.
Chuan, no matter what happens, I will always stay by your side.
小金板撸的你。
The coldness in his eyes gradually melting away.
Xie,
Do you know?
sometimes I wonder.
If I hadn't met you that day, what would I be like now? I froze for a moment.
I probably have become a cold-blooded emperor, he said with a self-deprecating smile.
After all, in this palace, no one ever treats you with sincerity.
I looked at him earnestly.
I will.
Xuan.
I will always stay by your side.
Cha Jingxuan pulled me into his arms.
I couldn't help but smile. What's wrong? Yao Junsuan looked down at me. Nothing. I just feel so happy. The next morning, after Zhao Wen left,
I was getting ready to take Shanxiu to the imperial garden for a walk
when a maid suddenly came to report.
Your Highness, Crown Princess,
Miss Shen is requesting an audience.
Shen Zhao.
since we met her Kunming Palace that day, she hadn't shown up again.
I thought she had already backed off. Let her in.
Shen Zhao walked in.
Carrying a food basket.
Your Highness, Crown Princess. These are some pastries I made with my own hands.
Please, have a taste. I looked at the food box she offered, but didn't take it.
You're too kind, Miss Shen. I've just had my meal, so I bring something a question today. So I really can't eat another bite. Then, I'll leave it right here.
You can have it whenever you're ready.
A flicker of disappointment crossed Shen Zhao's eyes. She didn't stay long. She put down the food box and left.
I immediately ordered my maid to throw the food box away.
In my heart, my guard against Shen Zhao grew even stronger. That afternoon, Yao Jingxuan returned early, his face looking even more pale and exhausted than yesterday. Xuan, what's wrong?
Yao Jian's voice was icy cold.
The first prince sent assassins after me today. Fortunately, I was prepared. My heart tightened with panic.
Are you hurt?
I'm fine, Sai Jingyuan assured me, squeezing my hand tight. But I'm worried. He might target you and our child next.
Fuan.
Starting today, you and little Seer must stay inside the Crown Prince Palace.
Don't go anywhere. I nodded silently.
小绝响部是一块神探子。
And there's one more thing. I've completed my investigation into the Shen family.
Shen Guo has embezzled over 1 million tiles of silver.
It is more than enough to destroy their entire household.
And end their family line forever.
A murderous glint flashed in Shao Jinswan's eyes.
So, are you going to make your move?
Not yet. We wait.
I want the first prince to strike first.
That's the only way we can catch them all in one fell swoop? Over the next few days, security at the Crown Prince Palace was extremely tight. Xia Jinswan spent almost every single day in his study, plotting strategies with his ministers.
Meanwhile, I stayed back in the bedchamber, focusing entirely on taking care of our little ones.
The baby seemed to sense the tense, heavy atmosphere as well, and was much quieter than usual. Late night.
I was suddenly startled awake by a chaotic noise outside. Fire! Fire!
We're on fire? I sat up with a jolt, scooping up the baby in my arms and running straight outside. I opened the door to complete and utter chaos.
The east wing of the Crown Prince's palace was engulfed in flames. The raging fire lit up the entire night sky. Your Highness! We have to go, now.
The guards rushed over,
shielding me as we fled toward the back gate. But the moment we reached the back gate, a crowd of shadowy figures closed in on us. Standing at the front of the crowd was none other than the first prince. With a smug grin plastered across his face, he sneered, "My dear sister-in-law,
Where could you possibly be going so late at night?
I clutched Xiaozhu tightly to my chest and took a few steps back.
First prince! Are you actually trying to start a rebellion?
The first prince let out a cold laugh.
Rebellion?
I'm simply here to invite my lovely sister-in-law over to my estate for a little visit. Jingxuan has been getting way too ahead of himself lately. I think he needs a little reality check.
First prince, do you really think you're going to get away with this?
Of course I will. The first prince waved his hand dismissively.
Men, escort the crown princess and the young princess back to my estate.
Just as his men began to close in on us, suddenly, a rain of arrows flew in from all directions. Over half of the first prince's men fell to the ground instantly. Then, Jingxuan's voice echoed from the shadows. Dear brother,
To drop by my palace so late at night.
Why didn't you give me a heads up?
he stepped forward, clad in heavy armor, gripping a long sword in his hand. Behind him stood hundreds of elite imperial guards.
The first prince's face instantly turned paper white.
You. How could I possibly know?
Xiao Jinzuan let out a cold sneer. Did you really think your plan was flawless?
From the very first time you sent someone to contact the kingdom of Shen, I've known all along.
No, that's impossible. This can't be.
I was so careful. I kept everything completely hidden.
The first prince shook his head frantically, completely losing his mind. Hidden?
小节选图个索罗式对付我，马蒂尔瓜蛋。
You are still far too naive. He waved his hand. The guards rushed forward. Subdued all of the first prince's men. The first prince struggled, screaming,
Jingxuan!
"You can't kill me. I am your eldest brother. Don't worry, I won't kill you. I will hand you over to father and let him decide your fate." And
小鸡我想在口里。
after the first prince was taken away,
Yachaman walked quickly over to me.
Asho,
"Are you okay?" I shook my head. "I'm fine." He looked down at the baby in my arms. The little one was staring up at him with wide, curious eyes.
瞧见酒碗鬼叫来是寒。
He gently caressed Josh's cheek. "I've let you both get frightened." "I'm fine," I said, looking at him. "Ah, Xuan. Is it finally over?"
Not yet.
But soon. Shanjuan's gaze grew deep and intense. After the first prince was captured, a storm of blood and terror swept through the imperial court. Shen Samvov's estate was raided and seized, and Shenguo was sentenced to beheading. The other ministers involved in the rebellion were also dealt with one by one.
Shen Zhao was exiled to the frontier.
Chai Zhenzuan left early and returned late every single day.
Sometimes not even coming home for days.
I knew he was handling the aftermath,
So I never disturbed him. But every night, I would leave a lamp burning for him. One day, Sha Jingxuan managed to come home early for once.
It's all over.
He looked absolutely exhausted, but there was a warm smile in his eyes. Really, joy surged in my heart. We walked over and pulled me into his arms. The first prince has been stripped of his royal status and sentenced to life imprisonment. The Shen family has been completely wiped out.
All the other rebels have been dealt with as well.
What about you? I look up at him. Did Imperial Father...
Xia Jingxuan looks down at me. Father has already issued the imperial decree, appointing me as the regent, crown prince.
From this day on, all court matters will be handled by me. My heart is filled with both joy and worry. Being the regent crown prince means he's only one step away from the throne, but it also means the burden on his shoulders is much heavier.
Juan, you're going to be so exhausted.
It doesn't matter. As long as I have you and little Shirer by my side, no matter how hard it gets, it's all worth it.
假真学问4秒的，
My face instantly turns red,
小西爪儿信使的 Nodi。
looking down at me.
What's wrong?
Nothing. Just as I am about to push him away, he suddenly leans in and kisses me. I close my eyes, returning his kiss. At this moment, all my worries and anxieties vanish into thin air. As long as he is by my side, I am not afraid of anything. Life returns to peace. After Xiao Yinchuan became the regent crown prince, he is even busier than before. But he still makes time every day to be with me and Xiaoxi. Sometimes he joins us for meals, and sometimes he plays with Xiao Xia. Zhao Shi is already 1 year old now. She has learned to walk and can even say A few simple words. Her favorite word to say is daddy. Every time Xiaoxin comes back,
She toddles right over to him.
reaching out her tiny arms for a hug.
Daddy! Daddy!
小金显无微 soft and Supsora spitting her around in the air.
Shasho giggles uncontrollably. Absolutely delighted, I stand to the side,
Watching the father and daughter play together,
My heart overflowing with warmth.
a life like this is something I never would have dared to dream of before.
Suddenly, Xiao Juan called out to me.
Ah, she.
Yeah? Xiao Junwen walked over with his arms crossed.
In a few days, it's Mother's birthday. Father says he wants a grand celebration. Mother said she wants you to help her organize it. I froze for a moment. I'm afraid I won't do a good job. Don't worry, I'll help you.
Sha Jingzuan smiled. Besides, Mother loves you so much.
As long as you put your heart into it, she'll definitely be pleased. I nodded.
Then, I'll give it a try.
Over the next few days,
I was so busy my feet barely touched the ground.
The Empress's birthday is a major event in the palace.
So we couldn't afford to make even the slightest mistake.
From the banquet dishes to the music and dance performances,
And even the seating arrangements for the guests.
I had to oversee every single detail personally. Fortunately, Ya Jingwen was there to help, so everything went off without a hitch.
On the day of the birthday banquet,
The palace was adorned with lanterns and banners, buzzing with excitement.
Cher, you did a wonderful job organizing this banquet.
I am very pleased.
seated on the main throne, the Empress was beaming from ear to ear.
I breathed a sigh of relief.
I'm just glad you like it, Mother.
The Empress took my hand. Like it? Of course I do.
Cher, you really are a wonderful daughter-in-law to me.
At the banquet, the ministers raised their glasses one after another to toast the Empress and wish her a long life,
小金句满杀坏比赛你。
occasionally placing food into my bowl.
Eat more. You've lost weight lately.
I looked down at the food in my bowl,
My heart swelling with warmth.
小笑撒动了乱。
clutching a piece of pastry in her tiny hands, with crumbs smeared all over her face.
I pulled out a handkerchief and gently wiped her face.
Eat slowly, sweetie. No one is going to take it from you. Xiao Xiao looked up at me
and beamed with a bright smile.
After the birthday celebration.
下集完，我撕回到一个窝里，手粉下身上。
Urgent news arrived from the border.
The northern Jianyu tribes were growing restless,
and there were clear signs they were planning to invade. Day after day, Jing Xuan met with his ministers to discuss strategies, sometimes neglecting sleep entirely.
Seeing him like this broke my heart, and I couldn't help but worry.
Late night, I walked into his study carrying a bowl of warm soup. Jing Xuan was staring blankly at a map,
His brow furrowed in deep thought.
Xuan, have some of this soup, I murmured gently.
He looked up and saw me, forcing a weak smile. Why aren't you asleep yet?
I couldn't sleep.
I placed the soup in front of him.
And you shouldn't push yourself so hard either.
Your health comes first.
I know.
Jing Xuan picked up the bowl and took a sip.
Xuan, if I had to go to the border, would you blame me?
My heart instantly clenched.
You're going to the border?
The Yaman are attacking aggressively, and we don't have many generals in court who can lead the army.
Jing Xuan set the bowl down. I want to lead them myself.
But isn't it too dangerous?
No battlefield is ever safe.
Zhongchuan took my hand in his. But I have to go.
This is my duty. I fell silent for a long time.
Then,
You should go. I looked up into his eyes. I will stay here and wait for your return. Jing Zan pulled me into a tight embrace.
thank you, Xiu.
But you must promise me that you will come back to me safe and sound.
I promise you. 3 days later, Jing Xuan led his army out to war.
I stood atop the city wall,
Watching his figure fade into the distance.
in my arms. Our little one seemed to feel the sadness of parting too.
After Jai and Jianwen left,
The Crown Prince's palace felt so much emptier. Every day, besides taking care of the baby, I spent my time managing the palace affairs. The Empress would often come to visit, keeping me company and cheering me up.
Xie, you don't need to worry.
He will definitely come back to you safe and sound.
I know, Imperial Mother.
I believe in him.
But in the dead of night, when everything was quiet, I still couldn't help but worry. After all, who can predict what happens on the battlefield? Then, late one night, as I was getting ready to put the baby to sleep, a guard suddenly rushed in with urgent news.
Your Highness, an urgent report from the border.
My heart skipped a beat. I quickly snatched the letter from his hands.
As I tore it open and read,
My hands began to tremble.
Xiao Jingzuan had been wounded on the battlefield.
Although the injury wasn't fatal, he needed time to recover. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm.
Prepare a horse. I'm going to the border. Your Highness.
It's far too dangerous. The guard frantically tried to stop me. Prepare the horse! My voice left no room for dispute. Hearing of this, the Empress rushed over.
Sure, you cannot go to the border.
It's far too dangerous. Imperial Mother, I have to go.
Xuan is hurt.
I need to be there to take care of him. Looking at the determination in my eyes, the Empress let out a sigh. Very well. I will have my guards escort you.
Thank you, Imperial Mother.
I quickly packed my things, and holding the baby close, I rushed toward the border under the cover of night. Throughout the journey, only one thought consumed my mind.
Xuan, you must wait for me.
After 3 days and 3 nights of non-stop traveling, I finally reached the military camp at the border.
小金属，我是来一星在的探。
His face deathly pale, with a thick layer of bandages wrapped around his left arm. The moment he saw me, he froze.
Xiu.
How did you get here? Think? I came to take care of you. I walked over to his side, staring at his injured arm, and my tears just started pouring down. Does it hurt?
It doesn't hurt, Jia Qingwen said, gently wiping away my tears with his right hand.
Why are you so foolish?
It was such a long journey.
And so dangerous.
I'm not afraid.
I was only afraid of something happening to you. Xia Jingswan stared at me.
She. His eyes were filled with heartache and deep emotion. Meeting you in this lifetime is the greatest blessing I could ever ask for.
Me too.
Xiao Xu lay quietly in my arms, staring at Xiao Jingxuan.
Cao Jiqinlan reached out and gently caressed Yashia's face.
In the days that followed, I stayed in the military camp to take care of Yao Jinswan. His wound healed very quickly. 2 weeks later, he was already able to get out of bed and walk around. One day, he suddenly said to me, sure. I need to go to the front lines. My heart tightened. Your injury isn't fully healed yet. It's mostly healed now.
较金瓦兰斗的美，言古楷文。
I cannot stay in the rear forever.
I knew I couldn't stop him.
Then, please be careful. Well, wait for my return.
萧金远见的是马附和。
3 days later, Xia Jingswan led his army out to battle once again. This time, I didn't stand on the city wall to watch him leave. Instead, I stood at the entrance of the military camp because I wanted to stay right here and wait for his return.
News from the battlefield kept pouring in.
Xia Qinswai led his army to victory after victory.
And the Sino were driven back step by step. Every time I heard good news, I'd let out a huge sigh of relief. Then, one day, some amazing news finally arrived.
小替身还破死了一乐的 army and crushed the main force of the Xiaoniu.
The Yangon king was forced to beg for peace. Your Highness, Crown Princess! The Crown Prince. He's coming back.
My heart leaped with joy.
I immediately scooped up little Xiu and rushed out to welcome him. At the city gates, the massive army was slowly marching back. And there was Xiao Junchuan, riding a magnificent horse right at the front.
He was so much tanner now.
And thinner, too. But he looked so vibrant and strong.
Sure.
What are you doing here?
Sure.
He whispered softly in my ear. I'm back. Welcome home. Once we returned to the palace, our lives went back to being quiet and peaceful. Because of his outstanding victories on the battlefield, the emperor officially declared Xia Jingswan the crown prince. He was given full authority over all state affairs, and I became the crown princess in both name and reality.
Little Shui Zhong day by day.
Looking more and more like Xia Jingswan. But her personality was just like mine, gentle and kind-hearted. When she turned 2, the palace hosted a massive grand banquet. During the feast, the emperor suddenly made a shocking announcement. I am growing old, and I have decided to abdicate the throne. The crown prince, Ya Jingswan, shall inherit the crown. Long live the emperor! Long live! Long live! Salzijoana knelt down to accept the imperial decree. I stood by his side. My heart was filled with a mix of excitement and sadness. Meanwhile, he knelt, saying, I obey your command. I was thrilled that Xua Jingswan was finally becoming the emperor, but sad because the emperor and empress were moving away to the resort palace. The empress gently took my hand. From now on, you are the empress. You must support Swanir well. Mother, I will. And make sure to take good care of little Sewer. I will come back to visit you all often. Grandma, don't go! Little Shi cried, tugging at the edge of the empress's robe, with tears welling up in her eyes. The empress's eyes reddened too. Grandma, please don't leave. Grandma is only going to stay at the imperial villa. It's not far from here. I can come back to visit whenever I want. On the day of the coronation, the palace was decked out in lanterns and banners.
buzzing with celebration,
谁来竞选了？我绝食是扎根任务。
and sat on the dragon throne, wearing the imperial crown.
I wore the phoenix robe and the phoenix crown, standing right by his side. Long live the emperor! Long live the emperor!
Long live the empress! The civil and military officials chanted in unison.
I looked over at Xiao Yinswan.
And he was looking right back at me.
We shared a knowing smile. Our journey, here, had been filled with so many struggles and hardships. But in the end, we finally made it.
I looked out of the palace hall.
The sun was shining bright, and I knew our future would only get better.
After ascending the throne, Ya Jingswan
Named his reign era Yoning. He ruled with diligence and wisdom, dedicating himself entirely to his people, and quickly won the hearts of the nation.
Meanwhile,
I did my best to fulfill my duties as empress. I often traveled among the common people to understand their struggles firsthand and did everything I could to help them. I even established a charity, specifically to support impoverished families and orphans. When Zhang Juan found out, he was incredibly supportive. Ah, Xu. You've done a wonderful job. He looked at me.
His eyes shining with pride.
I only wanted to do what I could. I replied with a gentle smile.
家教我，我要给的确有做鸟。
Bright and clever, and full of life. He would often tag along with me during my visits to the people. She was deeply loved by all the people. The little princess truly has a heart of gold. Yes, she is just like her mother. They are both such wonderful people. Hearing their words, my heart was filled with warmth and relief. Late that night, Xiao Jinswan finished reviewing the official documents and returned to our bedchamber. I was in the middle of putting little Few to sleep. He asked in a soft whisper. Is she asleep? I nodded gently. Jia Xingshan walked over, gently lifted our little girl into her crib,
and tucked her under the covers.
then he took my hand and led me to the window.
Ah, Xue. Thank you.
Thank me. For what? Thank you for always staying by my side. If it weren't for you, I don't know what would have become of me. If it weren't for you, my stepmother probably would have had me killed long ago. So, we saved each other.
小心闯0点，哪天劈死我夫差。
Ah, sure. Do you think we'll always be like this? We will. Yao Jingswan held me tight. I will always be by your side, forever. I closed my eyes, savoring this moment of peace and absolute bliss. The road ahead may be long, but as long as I have them with me, I have absolutely nothing to fear. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, Xiaoshu was already 5 years old. She grew more and more beautiful. Her big bright eyes looked exactly like Xiao Jinswan's, while the curve of her smile was just like mine. She was incredibly bright and clever. She started learning characters at age 3, could recite the 3-character classic and 100 family surnames by 4. And by 5, she was already writing beautiful calligraphy.
Xiao Jingswan doted on her endlessly.
Often teaching her to read and write himself. Xia Xiao pointed to a character in her book and looked up to ask Xia Jingswan, "Father, how do you read this character?" This character is read as Ran, like the Ran in benevolence. To be a good person, one must have a kind and benevolent heart. We must always treat others with kindness. Then, does father have a benevolent heart? Of course I do, Xia Jingswan said with a smile. Otherwise, why would I be so good to you? Then I have a benevolent heart too. I'm always so good to both you and mother. I sat nearby, watching the two of them, and my heart swelled with warmth. As the days went by, Xiaxue grew bigger and stronger each day. When she turned 7, Xiao Jingswan arranged for her to study under the grand tutor. The little girl was incredibly smart, and she picked up everything so quickly. The grand tutor often praised her. Your Highness is exceptionally gifted, and she is destined for greatness. Mother, did you hear that? I did. My Xiaoxu is the absolute best. One night, after Xiaoxu had fallen asleep,
上一次就算了，送去孔鹏，还塞。
Akyu, I really want to name our little Xiaoxi as the crown princess. I was stunned. What? Our little Xiaoxiu is incredibly bright. And she has such a compassionate heart. She will surely make a wonderful ruler one day.
萧敬轩文录在你。
What do you think? I fell silent for a moment. X1, Shashi is still so young. There's no need to rush into this. I know. It was just a passing thought. I leaned against his chest. No matter what Shashi chooses to do in the future, as long as she is happy, that is all that matters. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, our little Shakshu was already 10 years old. She had grown into a graceful and elegant young girl.
carrying both Shai Jinxuan's sharp, heroic spirit and my gentle grace.
Not only was she highly educated and knowledgeable, she even mastered incredible martial arts.
Shai Jinxuan grew more and more pleased with her,
and the urge to name her the crown princess grew stronger by the day.
One day, Shao Jingxuan formally proposed, declaring Yao Xiu the crown princess in the imperial court.
The court ministers immediately broke into a flurry of whispers.
Some supported the decision, while others opposed it fiercely.
Your Majesty, since the dawn of time, there has never been a precedent for a woman to be named crown princess.
Indeed, Your Majesty. This completely violates our ancestral traditions.
Shai Jishuan cast a freezing glare at the opposing ministers.
Ancestral traditions are made by men,
And they can be changed just as easily.
My daughter is far more capable than any of your sons.
Why shouldn't she be named crown princess? The ministers were left completely speechless.
In the end, Shai Jingxuan overruled all objections
and formally declared Shao Xiu the crown princess. On the day of the grand investiture ceremony,
Cao Xiu stood in the grand hall, dressed in exquisite ceremonial robes.
with a golden crown resting upon her head. Her young face was filled with absolute seriousness and determination. I will never fail the expectations of imperial father and imperial mother. I promise to be a great ruler in the future.
小金銮讷的营地贾斯凡显
Standing off to the side,
My eyes welled up with tears.
my little chewer has finally grown up.
Mother, please don't cry. I will always be right here by your side. I wiped away my tears and smiled. Our family will be together forever.